Wow. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being present today for our worldwide video premiere of Say Their Names. And you're going to learn more about Say Their Names after we bring up the video. Um, I am just elated. This has been a long journey, a long journey. As a good friend of mine said, as he looked at the work, he felt that this was 10 years in the making because he could see the artistic growth of all the people that are involved that you're going to meet here tonight. But I just want to say thank you so much. We had an overwhelming response of people signing up and registering on time, you know. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being present. I just want to make a couple of announcements before we actually show the film and give some people an opportunity also to get situated and to get here. Uh, a portion of the actual track, the download, Say Their Names, is going to go to a project that I work with called The Sound of Life, the Soundtrack of Life. It's an anti-gun violence art and education program. And we earmarked it to bring this initiative to the Mid-Hudson Valley, where I live, place I love. It's out of New York City. And so you're going to shortly meet the creator of the program, as well as the arts and education organization that I work with out on Staten Island. Another important announcement I want to make is in the spirit of the work and the partnerships I align my art with, please look out for an upcoming project with the American Heart Association. Follow their page. I'm blessed, you know, for being chosen to convey women's stories for the American Heart Association poetically. And I'm grateful that the McCann Advertising Agency reached out to me and I became the poet chosen to communicate the stories of these women, these resilient women, these courageous women who have had struggles with either strokes or hearts. Their story is going to be told. It is so important for us to take care of ourselves, of our bodies, so that we can take care of each other. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is bring up to the front of the room Victoria Colella, Arts and Education Manager for Sundog Theater, which is the agency that I work with in New York, as well as Janine Otis, who is the designer of a Soundtrack of Life, Catalyst for Change, the anti-gun violence program. So if we can bring them up to the front. I know we're a little early, and allow them to say a couple of words. So Victoria, thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you, though I do see you often
It's
on
wonderful
Zoom.
to be here. Yes, absolutely.
Can you I just want my audience to get an idea of who you are as well as what Sundog does, the great work that you do throughout New York City. And I want to also thank you and Susan, who's not with us tonight, Susan Finley, for agreeing with this vision that I have
Oh,
of, of bringing this program upstate to the Mid Hudson Valley.
absolutely. We have had the privilege of working with Poet Gold for about 7 years now on this a Soundtrack of Life project that has been funded through council members in order to bring awareness to gun violence and to use it as a change agency and giving these children an opportunity to talk about what they feel about gun violence. But Sundog Theater is a nonprofit organization that is located on Staten Island primarily, and we do about 75 to 100 programs every year in about 40 different schools, and we also offer programs in senior centers. And my tagline is we're not just theater. We do dance, we do theater, we do 3D literacy, which is a 3D type of literacy program that helps children learn literacy through theater. And we do dance and we do vocals, which Janine is obviously our amazing teaching artist that does that as well. And we bring programs to people and to schools and to children because we understand how important the arts are, as does Gold and Janine. They understand the importance of incorporating the arts in everybody's life, especially young people. It gives them a voice and it gives them a way to tap into their creativity. So
Thank you.
that's Sundog Theater.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for being here tonight. So I'd like to bring Janine to the front of the room, but before Janine starts speaking, I just want to share a story of how we met. I was speaking upstate New York in Binghamton at a women's event, associated, I think, with Rural Migrant Ministry, Destiny, Ruth Faircloth's event, right? And Janine and I, we didn't know each other, but she was performing that day and being an artist in residence for Rural Migrant Ministry. And at the end of the program, she approached me and she said, "I have something for you." And that was basically the gist of the conversation. And I didn't hear from Janine for some time. And then one day she reached out to me and she told me, she shared with me about the program. I went to Staten Island to meet the team there, and it's basically been love ever since. So, Janine, if you can speak to the Soundtrack of Life, your amazing program that you put together and invited me to be a part of, and I want to thank you for that moment, because I am truly grateful. It's for me as an artist, it's been extremely rewarding work to work with the students, and having to work with the middle school and the high school. I watch these students matriculate from the middle school to the high school, and so it's interesting to watch them say, "Hey, that's that poet lady." So it's pretty cool. So Janine, the floor is all yours, dear.
Well, I was going to mention when I met you and how electric it was and how wonderful you are. And then there's Victoria and Susan, who are just amazingly dedicated to doing this work and bringing it and finding resources, because the resources are what sustains all this work. And yes, soundtracks evolved in the work that I was doing on Lower East Side. I worked in Japan and in the UK, to just have people communicate about them, how to bring peace into communities that are at risk. And when I watch the news and when I'm walking in the world that we're living in, it's just needed now more than ever. So I am proud beyond belief to know this woman.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring up the video. I hope you enjoy it. Understand. Oh, yeah, what we're going to do now, I don't know if you guys heard that. We're going to bring up the video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something from it, at least to be able to foster a conversation. Suprina, my co-collaborator, and Paul, the director, we all put our heart and soul into creating this body of work. And once again, just understand that when you support this work and the sequel that's going to come later on, you are supporting this part of the portion of this is going to go to this program that I want to bring here into the Mid-Hudson Valley. And I'm going to give you a price. I'm going to be very, very upfront about this. It's going to take $15,000 to bring it here. But I believe that the community will rise, and all you have to do is download the track. That's it. Download the track. When the t-shirts go up, purchase a t-shirt, a hoodie, or something, because that's how I've chosen to give back. So let's go, Melissa. Say their
Memorial,
name.
they gather to honor, remember, and reflect.
Almost as if I were touching him, touching Emmett himself.
One mother finds solace after years of sorrow.
It's almost as if I'm reliving the funeral, and yet my heart is full of joy that not only my son, but all of these other people who gave their lives for such a great cause are getting the recognition that is their due.
That's the best part of the season. And the apple cider. Oh, yes.
So I just read this story from the 1700s about a free man named John Johnson who won his wife Joan's freedom from slavery in court. Tell me why her former owner sued to get her back and took her 7 kids too. Children that were born free. Those poor kids, born into freedom just to have it taken away. Can you imagine that? Joan and John were just trying to live a decent life. How cruel can people be?
There's just so much power in you knowing their story. There's so many stories left untold, and they have no names. It's almost like they didn't even exist, like ghosts.
This farm that we're on right now feels like the farm they could have actually lived on.
Say their names. Say their names. Say their names. Say their names. I'm gonna cry their names. Cry their names. Shout their names. Say their names. My people, we are connected, for generations neglected, but still today disrespected by those whose souls are infected. No need to ask me why brown, black, and poor got to die, for some to open their eyes. Is your Christian alive? Say their names. Say their names. Say their names. Say their names. I'm gonna cry their names. Cry their names. Shout their names. Say their names. I want America beautiful. Walk on a land that is fruitful. Not the lies that I'm used to. The 40 acres and a mule overdue. The evolution is televised to try to make us a little wise. The truth no longer to be denied. What kind of humans are we inside? What kind of human are you inside? What kind of human are you inside? What kind of humans are we inside? What kind of humans are we inside? America beautiful. Walk on a land that is fruitful. Not the lies that I'm used to. 40 acres and a mule overdue. The evolution is televised to try to make us a little wise. The truth no longer to be denied. What kind of humans are we inside? What kind of human are you inside? What kind of human are you inside? What kind of humans are we inside? What kind of humans are we inside? What kind of humans are we inside? What kind of human are you inside? What kind of human are you inside? What kind of humans are we inside?
I'm clapping for Suprina, Paul, Ralph, the whole Mavori choir. And so can we bring some people up to the front? Hey, people. Hey. See who's in the house. So guys, thank you so much. I see the comments. Thank you so very much. I just want you to meet everybody that was involved in putting this together, and because no man is an island, and we are a team and a machine. And so I don't know who wants to go first. Paul, you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you for first, letting me be a part of this project. So yeah, my full-time job is with the Artifact, and every year we get the chance to work with Gold for Poetry Fest, and we have the students make these videos. And last year we streamed the festival, and that was the first time I heard the Say Your Name song. And the whole concert, the whole event was excellent, but that was the last song, and I remember it was so powerful. And that was the first time that I saw Themis, and it stuck with me. And even months after, you know what I mean, I didn't know that wouldn't be the last time that I got a chance to see that song performed, and that it was pretty much gonna be my life for the next 6 months. There was one point I was like, I don't think I'm ever gonna finish editing this video, but it was great. You know what I mean? It's been amazing. It's, I think it's when all the events were happening in 2020. I remember my wife was worried, and she, just because it was blowing up, especially since we were home, and it was always like, be careful and going to work. And, it's like, I'm like, hey, this has been happening my whole life. I'm not going to be any more careful than, I've been taught to be my whole life. So that's what this song depicts, is that this has been going on for a while. We go back generations and generations. And, it was hard for me to be able to express how I felt, when after the George Floyd murders. But I think this was a great outlet for me to be able to add my artistic value or speak out and act against these terrible actions that were happening. I didn't, Gold and Suprina, I really appreciate you letting me collaborate with you on this project, because I didn't know I needed it, and it's been very powerful. And, every time I watch it, even though, I helped put it together and, I sequenced it, I think Gold is the only one that watched it more than I did. It still feels so powerful and strong. So thank you.
Yeah. And I thank you for, most people who know me know that I'm a night owl. And so I thank you for putting up with my 2 a.m. text, and I found something messages. So, but it's always a wonder and really great to work with you and the folks at Sound Artifact. It's just always wonderful. Suprina, Themis.
Yo, you both. It's just been such a heartfelt honor to work with both of you, and Paul, to get to know you on such a heavy project. Meant a lot. It did. You're gonna get me all choked up. Wow. I agree with you, Paul. Every time I see it, I actually feel even more, not less. It doesn't get familiar for me. It gets more powerful. And I can guarantee all you people out there, you're going to be like singing that song tonight when you go to bed. That's a definite, and that's good. So,
absolutely. Before we get into the Q&A, I just want to, if I miss anyone, just let me know. I want to acknowledge Barbara Masterson. We shot on her location at her and her partner's farm in Milton, right? That's where it is, in Milton. And it's we went through different variations of how to put this together. And we started at the park in Poughkeepsie, and then College Point. We thought about that, and then we were going to do a church and burial ground, and then that kind of went up in the air. And then I said, oh, Barbara, maybe we can do this on a farm, and tell the story from that perspective. And so thank you, the Masterton family, for giving us that space, that beautiful landscape to shoot in. So why don't we go into I guess some Q&As, because you guys submitted a lot of questions. I also, though, it would be remiss of me if I don't mention Sounds of Heritage, who is the choir that's on there, and Ralph Mavori, who did the vocal arrangements for the choir, a phenomenal talent out of Newburgh. And if you can, show them some love, put them in your shows or whatever you do, because they have phenomenal voices. I met them, I believe, at Newburgh's open mic, through the open mic. There's so much talent that comes through the open mics that I've been blessed. I used to tell people, this is a selfish act. This is my own living room, so to speak, with all this beautiful talent. But let's get in some of the questions. We appreciate the questions. I'm going to toss it out there. Will I be able to recite a poem? Okay, maybe a little bit later, but let me just, get into who inspired you the most when working on this project? Anybody? Any one of you guys?
For me, you did.
Oh.
So it's pretty simple, pretty obvious. But yeah, I just working with you and working through all the issues of this, all the challenges of this, and you were just always so easy and level-headed and calm, but to the point and strong and focused. And thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for Themis. Tell people about Themis and what Themis represents. How did you conceive that?
Yeah. So when George Floyd was murdered, both Gold and I, who were friends, so we were talking about it, and we're talking about the struggle of trying to figure out how to respond to that responsibly in an artistic way. And I don't know, a month or two later, we were talking again, and I thought about the Greek goddess, the blind goddess of justice. And I thought I wanted to Americanize her. So I made her a white male with straw hair, made him very ghostly looking, and gave him a cape with hundreds of names, which is behind me, of people that were murdered by the police. And he wears it very heavy, as you saw in the video. He's ashamed. He's ashamed of the injustice that was committed under his watch. So that's Themis. He's 9 foot tall, and I'm under the costume in the video, so, which is a lot of fun for all of us.
Right. Yeah. And we're going to be taking, I believe, the project to Beacon at some point, but we just got a grant to do that, and so you guys will hear more about that and the processional march that we do. Someone asked a question: how can they support in helping to secure the money for that? The downloads. In the downloads, you can go and you can donate whatever you want. It on Bandcamp, it says $1 or it says more, and you can do that. We're looking at this school year has already happened, so we're looking at what we're at 22, 23, starting maybe in January 23 or March of 23, and with 2 teaching artists that will get locally from the area, and I will come in and help train and facilitate those teaching artists. And the wage is going to be pretty good. So thank you for that question, Robert. I appreciate it. So go to Bandcamp. I see that people are going to bandcamp.com already, and just go to Bandcamp, download it. You can share the video. Definitely share the video. Let's get this out there, because it's about a larger conversation as well. It's 2 points. For me, it's one on a community level. It's about, like I said, bringing the Sundog here, helping the students be able to communicate about violence and what that is for them. Because I've always said that the gun is the last thing. The gun is not the first thing, it's the last thing. And as human beings, whether you're an adult or a child, we've experienced so many different levels of violence in many different ways before we actually get to the gun. So what type of intervention can we provide before they get to that place? What kind of dialogue, what kind of mediation and alternatives can we give them? And there are a number of wonderful organizations out there that are doing great work. I know specifically in Poughkeepsie, there's just so many organizations out there, and everyone's doing their part. And so this is just a way that I felt I could do my part for something that I was involved in. And so another question. Okay, this must be someone who knows me. From playing ball to having a ball. They must have knew me when I was on the basketball court. Let's see, what's your daily motivating factor? My daily motivating factor is waking up. Waking up. I really don't need much more, because, when I awake in the morning, whether it's raining, snowing, I mean, I'm not a big winter fan, but there's a sun behind that cloud. Just to give you, when I awake in the morning and I get in my shower, and I've shared this with Suprina, I often say, I awake with the courage to change the things I can change, the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the power to change the things that must be changed, and the sweet wisdom to know the difference. I'm inspired and encouraged by the kindness, love, and friendship I receive from family, friends, and strangers. I believe in the teachings of Jesus Christ, which help guide my spirit. I believe in me. I have faith, I have love, and I have hope. And with that, I have everything I need to be, do, and become all that I am, all that I shall be, all that you've designed me to be, all that I know I'm going to be. And beloved, in your Son, Jesus Christ, I praise you. Amen. And that starts my day. That starts my day. And then I do a poem, I do a poem in the shower, and because, I live in gratefulness. I'm just grateful to be here. And that motivates me. I have nothing to do with the stars, the sky, the sun, the oxygen. That's the greatness of that day. And as long as I wake up, I got a chance. And that's what I tell people. As long as you wake up, you have oxygen, then you have an opportunity to change any circumstance you may be in, even though it may seem dire. But there's a world of people out here that if you step into it, the universe will always meet you halfway. What keeps you motivated, Paul?
Yeah, just waking up and trying to, spread the positivity and I just have to start my day off positive. If I have a nightmare, I don't remember it. It's gone. It's already done. And that's the same, with anything that happens throughout my day, so, and I want to keep spreading that, especially to the individuals I work with, and, through work like this, it really does motivate me to work with people like Suprina and Gold, and be able to put a smile on their face. Like, here's this first draft. And when they love it, that's what makes me happy. You know what I mean? It's all love. And, so yeah, definitely just putting that good out into the world.
You've been really wonderful to work with, because editing is the tedious part. Yeah. Editing is the tedious part. And when you change something, when you edit, other things shift, and then you have to go back and try to get everything aligned. And I think when we work on projects like this, that's the tough part. Yeah. The editing, and so I commend you for your patience and your gift. But your patience.
Well, it's one of the things. It's like, and this is something that I teach every day is feedback is important, because any notes that I got, they made the video better, and, just seeing it was, the vision that came together on this project, they all helped, so it always worth it.
So I see some comments that said this video should be shown in every school. That would be nice.
We agree.
Yeah, that would be nice, but we would have to see. Suprina, what impact? Here's another question. What impact do you hope to have on the world with the video and your work as a whole? Maybe you can explain to people exactly what else you do. The type of work that you do.
Thanks, Gold. My work is social and political in nature. But I love what Gold just said the other day in a radio interview that we had about, it's not like I was born thinking that I was going to work on these subjects. These subjects are here, so I have to work on these subjects. I'd rather work on other subjects, but these are the pressing subjects to make our world a better place, everybody's world, my world. And so I'm a firm believer that each one of us make a contribution in this world in the same way as a drop of water hits the ocean and makes a mark, and that mark spreads out throughout the ocean. It's felt everywhere. And sometimes we don't even know when we've affected something or somebody. I've had people come to me later and say, you know, when you showed that piece or when you did that, it really made me think about, you know, our consumption, because I do a lot of work around consumption in our trash also. And so I live for that. I live for that. I want to help make the world a better place. And I believe that I do that as many other people do that too.
Great. There are a couple of questions that have come in on the chat side. So will you travel to other locations to do the work? Yes, we do plan on traveling to other locations. Like I said, we do part of what we're doing here would say their names through grants. And so we recently got a grant through Art Mitz Hudson, and we'll be taking it to Beacon. We
got it today.
We got it today, right? Yay!
So Paul,
to the Howland,
be involved.
So we're excited about that. Is there a mailing address for those who do not want to donate digitally? Yes, we will. I will put that up. If you go to poetgold.com and go into projects, we're in the midst of putting some other information up under Say Their Names, and so I'll make sure. It's a great question, and thank you for that. We'll make that happen. And go. Where does this go for you as an artist? Do you have a larger vision for how this work can develop? Well, Suprina and I were talking about that. We're talking about doing residencies in college, and we're shaping what type of residencies it will look like at that point. We're just fleshing out the details of that. But we'd like to take it into the schools, into the universities, and begin to have this dialogue about relationship.
Right.
You know, human relationship, oppression.
Maybe
racism.
Uncover some of the fear.
Right. Absolutely. You know,
of the anger and the fear. You know, especially my white brothers and sisters have a lot of fear coming around equality. I don't know exactly why I don't feel that myself, but I do discuss it with other people, and we'll talk about that a little later. I think there's a question on that.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's keep it going. Let's see. Has the production made you feel? I'll ask this to Paul. Paul, working on this project, the production, has it made you feel like things are different or things will change?
You know, I'm hopeful, very hopeful. I think it was great to see all the partners and people that collaborated to this project to make me feel hopeful. And I think, yeah, by putting this out into the world, I think we are gonna, you know, change someone's life. You know, and that's the hope, that they click on this video and they share it, and you know, you can see it from the eyes of people that have been going through this, you know, their whole life. So I do think it's gonna have some change in the world.
Wonderful. There's another question. Maybe could it be shown at Juneteenth at the park here in Poughkeepsie? Yes, we're gonna. I feel torn. I've spoken with Suprina about this. We got an offer to do an event in New York, in Harlem on that day, but we can certainly make the video available for home, and we'll make that happen. Just Nancy, just reach out to one of us, and we'll figure out the logistics of that and make that happen. Will you do more projects with your poetry, music, and video? Your work and fellow artists really express strong emotional content. We have a sequel coming up. Announcement. Paul is smiling. Paul's like, okay. We Grow is going to be the next creative piece that is going to follow this. Hope to drop it in August and get that going. We Grow will be that piece. I know some of you have heard that, and I think it has a nice little melodic poelody to it, and the message is important to get out. Let's see. Okay, it's too deep for usual discussion. How are you managing? Oh, okay, I like this question though. The statement was, it's too deep for the usual discussion. How are you managing to relive the incident through film? Anyone want to take that? Silence, crickets. Well,
Yeah.
you want me to talk and then maybe
Sure,
you guys will jump in? Okay. For me, reliving something means that you're staying there in that space. And I think part of writing, when I wrote this poelody, I was crying, literally. I just watched every channel you turned on had George Floyd being murdered. And it was just this collective mourning that was taking place around the world. There was no way that a human being could look at that and feel okay. So when I wrote this piece, I literally was crying writing it. But I also understood that those tears were going to allow me to move forward. That it was okay for me to say, I'm angry, I'm in pain, but how am I going to use this? What can I do to use this? And I called a good friend of mine named Rosanna. We used to work with each other at Real Skills Network, located in Poughkeepsie. And she was the first person who actually heard this. And she was, oh, you got to put this out now, Gold. You got to put this out now. And I said, no, I'm going to wait. I'm just going to wait. That when the time is right, the universe will let me know that it's right. It'll put everything in place for it to happen. Because I didn't want to get caught in the sweep of what was going on. Because then I felt the message would get lost. It was about the healing. It was about the celebration. It was about honoring. It was about mourning. It was about consoling. And it was also about not forgetting. And not forgetting in a way that doesn't embody resentment and embody hate, but not forgetting in a way that honors. And I don't know if anyone, I'm going to give a trivia question out there. And I'm going to give a trivia question. I got to figure out what I want to give away, though. I'll give you a book. But if someone can tell me in relationship to not forgetting, there's something that I'm wearing on my body in the video that speaks to that, not forgetting. So for me, I'm not reliving it. I'm actually moving forward with it and taking the pain of that and turning into something useful and something that could be perhaps a catalyst for change. So that's my response to that.
Well, and I agree. For me, I'm glad you stated that first, because it helped me define what I was feeling. But I just think that moving forward in a positive way, in a action way, is what's needed, and that's what's important.
Yeah. Because when we get stuck in moments, even though it's hard, we're sort of like what is that, hamster on a wheel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're just playing, and that's not for me personally. Let me speak about myself. I don't want to put that into anyone's mind, words in anyone's mouth. But for me, that's not a healthy space to be in, to live trauma over and over again. So I often seek out the tools to get me past it, or what am I embodied with that can help me get past it, whether it's to circle yourself around with some people, some friends, or get engaged with an art project, or something that can help you move on. But move on in a constructive way, not just move on and forget. What's the saying? Leave the world a little bit better than you found it.
Mm-hmm.
I took that to heart as a kid. Leave it a little bit better than you found it. So I think we answered, how do you stay positive? What has been the most rewarding part of such a painful but raw piece? I'm throwing that out there to you guys.
Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
What has been the most rewarding part of such a painful but raw piece?
First, just being able to work with you all and meet everybody a part of the project. Like the choir was amazing. They were great, and they were singing on this mountain, and it felt like a great experience. Just hearing them like even pour their hearts out when they didn't have to, they just had to lip sync it, and even in the imagery of their clothing. And yeah, just getting to meet all of these people, the procession down Poughkeepsie and Main Street. That was another powerful moment, and it really did stop traffic at some points. And it's not because we were blocking the road, it's because people wanted to see what was happening,
Right.
seeing this character. And they weren't saying anything, it was quiet.
Mhm.
And and I know when you all were working on that, it was questions on if we would have music or if it would, we would just be silent. And I remember Suprina said, I think silence sometimes is more powerful, and we're going to give a stronger message. And I do believe that was true.
Mhm.
But like I mentioned before, this was my way to speak out, still quietly, but this is my way to express myself. I felt like in reacting to all of these events.
Yeah. So, Supreme, I'm going to throw this out at you, being that you're the white sister in the room.
What?
What? Did you look around? It says, please explain your view of why white people view the struggle for justice for others as a threat to them.
Yeah, thanks for that question, whoever asked that question, because it's important to talk about. I feel, because I talk about this subject a lot with my white brothers and sisters, and I get a lot of pushback, a lot of reaction to it. And I think what happens a lot is that they feel that by talking about their white privilege, if they admit they have white privilege, that they're admitting that they're bad in their heart, that they are bad people, or that they're responsible, or that their grandparents are responsible, or something like that. And I think that that's where that comes from. If you're talking about just the regular good folk in the world. I'm not talking about the people who are really hateful and, are definitely racist, been raised racist, and that's what they're going to do. That's a whole nother group of people and another whole reach, which they need to be reached with love, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to get there, but there's so many regular white folk out there who could, if they could just get over and see their white privilege and start and see some of the injustices, then they can join the fight. And that's the ultimate thing. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. I think once you see systemic racism, you can't unsee it. And therefore, then it is your responsibility to be involved in the change, whether that's reading a book. There's so many books on this subject, educating yourself, learning about American history, volunteering with kids at risk, voting. There's so many things a person can do, a white person can do every day to just start the change. And we have to do it because I want a better world. And I think that's the end result. We all want a better world where, there's some kid over here in Poughkeepsie who's struggling, and he might be the next, Joe would say this as my husband, he may be the next person who'll cure some terrible disease.
Right.
But unless he gets a chance, unless he gets some options, he won't. So I don't know if I really answered your question because it's a difficult one, but I think a lot of people feel bad.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's you and I had this discussion the other day, because sometimes I feel a certain thing about the word privilege, in a sense that, a perfect example, when I used to do open mic in Poughkeepsie on Main Street in Bull and Buddha, there was a family that showed up, and they were a white family, and they were just sort of peering in the window. And I said, "Are you coming in?" And they're like, "Hey, Poet Gold," and they had their kids with them, and they said, "No, we can't come in there." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean you can't?" "I'm in there, you can come in there." But they were feeling on a socioeconomic level that they did not belong. So if you take that group of individuals and you say privilege to that, then it's, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And so some parts, this is some parts where the anger comes in. Like I've said, well, it's sort of like the liberal who has like to coin the word the privilege, but there's a certain population that don't see themselves within the construct of being white as privilege because they're poor.
They're poor, right? So it's another
there's nothing privilege about being poor, right? There's nothing privilege about being poor, you know. And so, and then we could talk about that another day on a very historical level of how that separation happened. But they're poor, they're struggling, and so, but what I try to explain on that level is that, but if you weren't poor, or if you were able to make it to middle class, you'd have a different advantage.
Yeah. Right.
Than the poor Black. But then it goes back to that, it's not what you say, but how you say it. It's all these little sayings that hold substance to them.
Yeah.
That we
cliches are so true. They
yeah,
really
they're
are.
true.
They're really meaningful if you look at them deep, and it's a shame that they've become cliche because they really have some seriously deep meaning. And I think it's important for everyone here to understand that you and I, when we did this, we weren't looking at just the last few decades of police brutality, which say their names as a hashtag is kind of dealing with. We wanted this video to talk about oppression from the first African that was taken against their will from Africa and brought to America and sold as chattel, that person too. And then the person who couldn't vote, and the Black soldier who worked, fought in the Civil War, fought in the Revolutionary War, and then got no justice for it. I mean, we want all those people are who we're talking about in this video.
Right. And that's what I was expressing to Suprina, that say their names, may have come out of the George Floyd murder, but it had so much other meaning to it. Yeah. It had a historical meaning to it. And even for people who weren't Black, but white allies who were murdered during the Civil Rights Movement. Back in 1933, at the end of this, it's dedicated to my uncle, my grand uncle, Reuben Ware, who was murdered back in 1933 by a white man over a cow. My uncle had a cow, and as the story has it, the cow wandered off to the other farm, and the owner of that land said, if your cow comes again, I'm going to kill you. And so the cow came again, apparently, and he knocked on my grand aunt's door and my grand uncle's door and asked her to get her husband. And when my grand uncle came to the door, he shot him. And the reward at that time was about $25.
Shot and killed him.
Yeah, he shot and killed him. He murdered him, shot and killed him. So I dedicated this to my grand uncle just to bring light to the fact that this is not just now. This has been from day one since we were kidnapped and brought here. But we don't have to stay here per se as a country. We can move on because I believe that racism is America's Achilles heel. And we have to get to a place of not feeling ashamed of the history, but telling the history as part of the American story.
Right.
We don't have to stay there. Yeah. We can really evolve and move into our true greatness versus skirt around it, and tell the truth.
Another thing that I think that a lot of white folk will think is that this is ancient history. The slaves was ancient history. And I think people forget that, in our lifetime, maybe Paul, I remember seeing a lynched man on the front page of a newspaper when I was 8 years old, and being so disturbed by that image and asking my mother what it was. Because I lived in the North where we supposedly didn't have that kind of thing that we did. But, and so that was like the first time I discovered racism. I'm not that old.
Mhm.
This is still, it's just changed form. So it's gone from Jim Crow, now it's mass incarceration. You know, it just changes forms, but it's not, it needs to be gone.
And that's why the next piece is We Grow. Where do we go from here? Where do we go? We grow. And so that's going to be next piece. But once again, I hope you guys, I thank you for being with us today. I'll end with this poem because someone keeps saying, texting me and going, will you please say a poem? And so I'm going to share, we live in each other. And I'm going to leave you with this note. We live in each other. We live in each other. Oblivious to the storm or our perceived differences, there exists an interconnection, like creeks to streams, streams to rivers, rivers to oceans, oceans to life. We live in each other, residing in a cosmic energy housing us all, providing sustenance, oxygen, blood, water, so our hearts pump, our lungs breathe, our eyes see. We live in each other. In the collective tears of mass mourning, mass shootings, in the triumphs of rescues from life's tsunamis and earthquakes, we shudder as one universe with deep sighs, building strength to move us forward. We live in each other, on the north side and the south side, on the east side and the west side, opposites or side by side, a spectrum with varied degrees of hope, joy, and laughter. We live in each other, within dreams lived and dreams deferred, within small steps and giant strides, within heartbeats and hearts deceased, within love. We live in each other, in the words we speak, the heart we slay, the person we touch, the community we build, the elder we hold, the child we rear, the animal we cherish. We live in each other as stewards of the universe, caretakers, guides, hopefully not blinded by pain, sorrow, ghosts from the past. We live in each other, a collective life force. Therein lies the change. Therein lies our humanity. Therein lies our belonging. Therein lies our truth. Therein lies our song. Therein lies the poem. We live in each other. Thank you so much. Thank you for being present. Let's just continue to do the good work. Share, 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 share. What's that guy that says? Share, share, like, share, 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 like, and help us bring this phenomenal program, Soundtrack of Life, Anti-Gun Violence, to the Mid-Hudson Valley, the place that I love. And thank you.